Good evening. I now call this meeting to order, and thank you for being in attendance tonight. And at this time, I invite everyone to please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, in part of our board meeting, I will now take comments to the board in accordance with board policy. We've set aside 20 minutes. And with that said, our first person to speak is April Moore.
Hello. Can you hear me okay? April Moore, I live here in Kendallville. I have a couple different topics I kind of threw into one that I just wanted to address tonight. First off, I wanted to thank those of you who took time out of your day to participate in the town hall meeting earlier this month. I appreciated the opportunity to have some small group discussions with you and with other staff members. I was again, though, surprised at the lack of attendance by parents. Not really sure how we get over that hurdle. I see a lot of complaining on social media about how the corporation doesn't listen to parents, doesn't take consideration of what parents think, but then parents don't participate. So it's really kind of hard for you guys all to take into consideration parents' thoughts and feelings when they don't come to stuff. So again, I really don't have any words of wisdom as to how we can get that to be better. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just I really have enjoyed seeing the Facebook posts as far as the Christmas trees and the competition y'all had with the different buildings and stuff. That was really kind of neat to do. I know I enjoy seeing the pictures too of all the kids doing their Christmas programs and the music department doing their programs. I like to see those Facebook memories come up with my own kids through the years as they've done those. So I appreciate that the music department and the band programs have kind of continued to put on some good programs that parents can use for themselves to have good memories of their kids being in school. That's all I have. Thank you.
Bret Carpenter.
Bret Carpenter. I live in Kendallville. Now, I've been asked by a lot of people why I act so disrespectfully towards the board, and why do I always focus on the negative and not on the positive. Now, I would think they would be more concerned about why the board acts so disrespectfully towards the parents and the children, but I'll explain why I take my approach and why my approach is the correct approach. Jesus said, "But woe to you Pharisees, for you pay tithes of mint, root, and every kind of garden herb, and yet you ignore justice and the love of God. But these are the things you should have done without neglecting the others." Now, why do you think Jesus, Paul, John the Baptist, the disciples, the prophets acted so often, so disrespectfully towards the leaders of their day? It's because the bad they were doing far overshadowed the good they did. They did a lot of good, but the bad they were doing undoes all the good. You can live your whole life doing good, and if you do one bad deed, you commit one crime, all the good you have done counts for nothing. We all understand this. We all live by that standard. We all accept this. The only people who don't are the hypocrites. Hypocrites have a double standard. One rule for them and another for everyone else. Now let me ask you, what is worse, a student ignoring East Noble dress code or adults giving access to porn to the children? What is worse, a student talking too much in class or adults giving students porn? What is worse, a student taking a vape pen into school or adults giving the students porn? What is worse, a student taking his cell phone into class or adults giving the students porn? What is worse, a student making an obscene gesture or adults giving students porn? You have policies against all those things I've mentioned and a whole lot more. And yet you give access to porn to students. Your hypocrisy is so blatant, it's so obvious, that you have a policy where you will suspend a student for disseminating obscenity. And yet you yourselves give students porn. You're hypocrites, the lot of you. And you are. People should not respect you. Even though you do some good, the bad you do far outweighs the good.
Sorry, your time is up. Thank you. Amanda Uhl.
Amanda Uhl. I live at 416 Main Street in Avila. I stand before you as an alum, now a taxpayer myself, a mother to current students, and as someone who is actively engaged in my children's lives both inside and outside of school. I was told no when I asked for my child to be tested for special education services, and it became a fight. My child qualifies and receives services both for his education and speech to this day, and again, I had to fight. I have asked for smaller class sizes instead of additional instructional assistants have been hired. We haven't been able to keep those instructional assistants fully staffed, having a continued effect on our staff and student body. I know my child's test scores and can provide data if you would like to better understand. Our family with tough wrestling has been told no to the school allowing the facility to be used outside of current policy without the opportunity to have a true conversation around the need for the further possible reconsideration. This past weekend, Central Noble Club allowed us to co-host a tournament. Leading up to the event, it took much planning and coordination. Throughout preparation for the event and our family making way to Central Noble for the tournament, my children were confused as to why we were going to another school and also needing to collect items from other schools to run the tournament. A child is asking a logical question. Why? Not just why we can't use the facility, but why don't they support us? I want to express the generosity from Central Noble for accommodating our facilities. Columbia City also allowed us to coordinate with the use of their computers and time clocks. West Noble allowed us to use an additional mat needed for the event. These are examples of corporations that understand that they're public school systems willing to serve. They come together for not only the taxpayers of their jurisdictions, but they also accommodate the needs of surrounding communities in need. You did not hear me say East Noble. Sadly, our corporation isn't interested in better serving our community. You have all forgotten that your job is to serve the taxpayers in our community who fund our schools. Further questions to consider that I don't have the answers to because the only answer was no, were why won't East Noble allow us to use a wrestling mat? Do we know that there's one that probably has 10 years of dust sitting on it rolled up in the storage currently at the high school? Why can't we use East Noble's time clocks, scales, ankle and wristbands? These have all been supplied through taxpayer money that funds our school, and it would have been used to further help grow our program. The elephant in the room is and continues to be that there's no understanding between the board along with our administration and the constituents which you are supposed to be serving us as taxpayers. Because there's never any dialogue. What communication there has been has either been railroaded or seems to have fallen on deaf ears. Our board lacks true leadership. Our board continues to allow our administration to act without accountability in multiple facets. I'll leave the rest here for you to continue.
John Klaassen.
Good evening, board. John Klaassen, Rome City, Indiana. As we approach 2025, with the election behind us and new board members poised to be sworn in soon, it seems prudent to review the role of the board. This typically involves around governance, oversight, accountability, and strategic guidance. While these certainly do not include day-to-day operations, those concepts are definitely part of engaged leadership. Regarding mission, boards are to ensure that decisions align with the mission, vision, and values of key stakeholders. Boards are to provide strategic direction by shaping the long-term goals and priorities of the organization in alignment with their key stakeholders. Your key stakeholders include the community and the person you just heard from. A board's purpose includes such things as governance, oversee the organization's operations and ensure compliance with laws, regulations, and ethical standards. Financial stewardship, approve budgets, monitor financial performance, and ensure responsible, legal, and ethical use of resources. Accountability, you are to evaluate the performance of an organization and its leadership, including the superintendent and financial officer. This requires that you have two-way conversations with staff, and it would be ineffective not to. You're to support and advocate for your constituents and staff as part of your mission and goals, and you are to identify risks and mitigate them. What should be noted here is that it is not the responsibility of the superintendent or any executive to do all the thinking, to inform the board of what she wants you to do, and then you approve it without much critical thinking or due diligence. It is also not the role of some external third party like Neola to do all the work for you so that you unanimously approve in front of your constituents. It is also not the role just to copy every other district's policies and governance such that our school board policies are essentially homogeneous with every other district. Your role is not just to be a follower of the executive or an outside left-leaning third-party legal firm or to just govern like every other school. You are elected and paid $2,000 a year to lead. Please feel empowered to do so in the new season. For new board members, we'd like to ask that you think carefully and critically about the recommendations made by the Indiana School Board Association when they suggest that you give your constituents their feedback time and then just move on and govern with the heart of superiority, or when they ask that you just follow the superintendent's lead, or when they ask that you vote unanimously and don't discuss any dissent in front of your community. That's communism, not representative government. On a lighter note, I wish each of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, respectfully.
All right, board in your packets were the minutes from the November 20th meeting. You've had a chance to read through those. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion from Mr. Durbin. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Dr. Jansen. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Also in your packet were the claims from the December 18th. You've had a chance to go through those. Quite a few there. Any questions you have with those? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion from Mr. Truelove. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to resignations, retirements, and terminations. You had a chance to go through those. Any questions on those? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
A motion from Dr. Jansen,
I'll second.
second from Mrs. Blackman. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to reassignments.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion from Mrs. Klein,
I'll second.
second from Mr. Trudeau. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have no retirements, no terminations. I'm sorry. Lost my spot there. That takes us to new hires. We have a list there for new hires, including extracurriculars.
I'll make a motion to approve the new hires.
We have a motion from Mrs. Blackman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Durbin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We did have 2 leave requests.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion from Mrs.
I'll
Klein
second.
and Dr. Jansen. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to instruction. Dr. Ramon.
Yes, we have with us Amanda Jansen. She's going to make her way up here. She is our finance class teacher, and so she's going to share a little bit about that as a request from the board. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Are you okay if I don't use the mic? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Sorry, my teacher voice comes out and it's way too loud for that. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for not only being on the forefront of the nation and making sure that personal finance is something that our students take. Right now, currently, I believe there are 29 states in the nation that are looking to or have already enacted personal finance curriculum into their schools. And you guys were 3 to 5 years ahead of that game. So kudos to you, and it brought me to East Noble, so thank you. When I teach personal finance, it's not just about like, how do you save your money, but it's how do we prepare our kids for the future so that they are active participants in our community, that we don't continue to see some of the cycles that we've seen in the past. How do we get them to save for a rainy day fund? How do we limit spending way too much on things that maybe we don't need to spend too much on? And how do we mitigate the moderate risk in getting kids to start looking at investing rather than just putting it into a savings account? So looking at like high interest savings, IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs, all of those options rather than just a general savings. Because a lot of kids don't know the difference between all of those things. And the biggest thing is student loans. How do we get them to not fall into those predatory loans where they are ending up having to pay 30, 40 years down the road? So that's what my goal is. With the state of Indiana, we've had a huge focus on employability skills. So that is one thing that I tend to focus on in my classroom. So we build resumes, we build cover letters, we talk about like what are the skills that you're walking out of this building that you're going to be able to use for the future. So it's not just the finance, the money that's in their pocket, but it's the finance, their personal knowledge that they can use to make that money in the future. So things like being able to build connections and regulating themselves in front of a group of people. How do they collaborate? How are we lifelong learners? Are we professionals? Having self-confidence to stand in front of a board and speak and turn bright red. Have effective communication and take initiative and problem solve, huge problem solving skills. Decision making, their attention to discipline, or their attention to detail, self-discipline, having integrity, all of the things that we want our graduates to walk out of the building in their back pockets and things that they can put on their resumes to be employed in the future. So that is our main goal when we walk out. So we build those resumes, we build our cover letters, we write the cover letters to businesses that they want to have a job with in the future, or even businesses that they already have a job established with. And then we use those for their senior exit interview materials, which is part of the graduation process. So we are then using them for the future. And I can't tell you, this year I had probably 20 kids reach back to me from last year and say, do you still have my resume? I need it for college. I'm applying for an internship or whatever. And I have them. Like, I've saved them in a Google Drive. I have a Google folder with every kid's name on it. All of their documents are there so they can reach back. I know I've had several of your students in my classroom, and so I've been able to reach back to them and say, yeah, absolutely, here it is. What else do you need? Like, let's polish this up. What extra things have you done? So it's not that they're just taking the class at that moment, but they're using me as a resource for the future, which I think is pretty powerful, that they know who they can go back to, and we bring in people from the community. So Erica Deco has come in. We're gonna bring in Troy Hartman. We're gonna bring in other people. I had this whole list in my head, and I was like, I can do this without having a ton of notes. So we're gonna I have all of these people that come in and they constantly are talking. We utilize Junior Achievement, where we bring in bankers and investors and business people from the community to talk to kids, not just about the things that I'm talking about, because as parents that sometimes when you talk to your kids, they don't listen. It's the same with teachers. Sometimes we talk to them and they don't listen. And so bringing in these outside people to reinforce the things that I'm teaching them has been quite helpful, and they're building those connections for the future. In fact, I had another student reach out this week to one of those former JA people and ask for a job, which was pretty huge. And because of the connection and because of what that employer saw in that person in the classroom, they were hired this week, which is a huge win for everyone. But it's not just the kids who are learning. I myself have taken over 140 hours of professional development over the last 3 years since you guys have hired me. I have an econ background, but personal finance is constantly changing. Like there's new things, there's new ways of doing things. Crypto, Bitcoin, like I don't even want to get into it, but that's what the kids want to get into, right?
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that I'm educating myself on it. So over, really in the last year and a half, I've done 140 PD hours, and I have been nationally recognized for the amount of PD that I've done, and was honored at a banquet just this past year. So it was really cool. I've got a plaque in my room. Feel free to stop by, check it out. And so Next Generation Personal Finance and Jumpstart is really kind of the two groups that I follow to get all of that information and reach out. But here's the big kicker. I did some number crunching because that's what finance people do. So from fall of 2022 to 2023, I had 0 kids fail personal finance. So I had a 100% pass rate. It's amazing. It's 173 kids. From 2023 to 2024, I taught 150 students. I did unfortunately have 3 people pass. And then this year, I so far have had 84 kids in personal finance, and I will have another 60 by the end of 3rd trimester. So if we look at our total impact, in my short 3 years, we've hit 487 students. And out of that 487 students, I have a 99% pass rate in my personal finance class. And it's because we are pouring into these kids, and I don't let them fail. Like I drag them across the line, and I make sure that they know the content, because I know a lot of teachers have like due dates where they have to have things due by a certain day, and I don't care. Like get the work done, show me that you know what you're doing, and let's get it across the finish line. And I think that's a huge difference maker. So I want to thank you for being on the forefront of personal finance and making sure that we can push it forward. And thank you for giving us that opportunity for our students, because I believe that they are going to directly pour it back into our own community. Whether they are working for you, working for another small business, working for a large corporation, or starting their own business, they're taking the things that they're learning in our classrooms and pushing them forward. So, thank you.
Again, thanks, Ms. Jansen, appreciate that. Moving to business, Dr. Grimeau, I think you have the first one.
Yes, we are asking for approval for the new middle school science curriculum. Science teachers took a long time to really look through materials, and then that was open to parents to review as well. And the committee is recommending the purchase of Savas Learning as presented in your packet. So we're asking for that recommendation to be approved.
I'll make a recommendation to approve the new science curriculum that's chosen.
A motion from Mrs. Blackman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mrs. Klein. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll chat a little bit about calendars.
Sure. We are presenting the 25-26, the 26-28 calendar. You've had a chance to review those and ask the questions. They've also been reviewed by EMEA and shared with administrators. We've kind of went back and forth, but I think we've got it. Hopefully we have no errors, because we go over them and over them and over them, and Kelly checks it again. But the only thing I would say is that in the spring of 2027, there will be a need to up the waiver and apply for that again, because that will become due. So for the 27-28, that will have to come back to you if those waivers are approved. But for right now, we're asking for approval to for all of those calendars as presented in your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mrs. Klein and a second from Mr. Kulo. All those in favor? Okay.
So I do know, I had a conversation with the super about this, and I've had some people reach out as far as, beginning of school year and end of school year. And I know we really tried to work hard to end before Memorial Day, but just with the way that the calendar worked out, it just wasn't able to happen.
On one of the calendars.
Yeah, and maybe two, but maybe the first year.
Well, there's one teacher day.
Teacher day, that's right.
Not students.
So we try to get in our days and make everything work without changing the balance calendar, it's just not possible. So,
Yes. And we did have conversations about your meetings. Charlie's shaking said yes. So.
yeah. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. That was something that, was brought upon me by other people, so. That's all.
Okay, there is a motion. There has been a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Ryan, this is E-rate, so that's probably you.
Yeah, so, the board, recently we advertised a request for proposals for 4 different E-rate bids to provide, the first one was to provide internet service to our new East Noble Academy. The second was to provide upgrades to our network switches for East Noble High School. The third was for network switches at East Noble Middle School. And the fourth was for network equipment support and maintenance for the corporation. Bids were received. We had several responses to each one of those bids. They were received at the Transportation Technology Center. They were reviewed by our tech department as well as myself. So in your packet, you'll see a recommendation to award 3 of the 4 bids. Bid number 1 to Ligtel, bid number 2 to CWG, bid number 3 to reject. The funding for that program has been postponed or delayed, so we'll revisit that the next cycle. And then bid number 4 to CWG as well for equipment support and maintenance for the corporation network. So I would ask the board approve those bids as presented.
Any questions about that? It's quite a substantial savings to the district.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mr. Durbin, a second from Mrs. Klein. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Still some money issues. Brian, early literacy stipends?
Yes, so the state, this is the second year in a row, they have provided funding for an early literacy grant. These would be for all teachers, instructional assistants, instructional coaches that are a part of our literacy program for pre-K through 3rd grade. The amount that we received was somewhere around, I think, $44,000. So we distribute that amongst those individuals. The certified teacher would receive $546, and the instructional assistants would receive $273 in the form of a stipend. So the board would ask that you award those stipends as presented, and the funding comes from the state and the early literacy grant.
Any questions about that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mrs. Klein, a second from Dr. Jansen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Teacher appreciation grant stipends.
Yes, so the next recommendation from the administration, the state also provides funding in their grant to school corporations for a teacher appreciation grant. Not for necessarily all certified staff, but it was for the majority. And when you break the amount down received by the state, it would provide a teaching or a stipends to all certified teachers that are rated effective or highly effective. An effective teacher would receive $750. A
highly effective teacher will receive $937.50. That is mandated by the state. A highly effective teacher must receive 25% more than an effective teacher. And then also, the administrator would receive the same as the $937.50. Along with that, East Noble School Corporation will also put in additional funding to provide for all staff. So the rest of the certified teachers that don't qualify, the administrators don't qualify, and classified staff that don't qualify, classified staff will receive $400, subs would receive $200, and classified directors would receive $750. So the monies for that would come from the educational, operational, and food service funds. So East Noble administration would ask that the board approve the stipends as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve those as presented.
And I'll second.
We have a motion from Mrs. Blackman, a second from Mr. Truelove. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the last one,
Last-
eBay.
Yep, last time on the agenda, you received a packet worth of items that we asked to deem obsolete, so we can either sell on eBay or dispose of the most cost effective.
I'll make a motion to approve those as presented.
A motion from Mr. Truelove and a second from Mr. Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to our discussion / work items for tonight. First up would be the high school updates. And some information on that. We started receiving those things back in August as Brian was working on the budget process. And that was outlined in some of the capital project visions and goals. And it goes on with our strategic plan as far as our facilities. And provided some additional information we've had a chance to review, and I think he's got more for us tonight. Maybe just to put it in a nicer format.
Yeah, so I thought I'd put together a little bit of a visual for you, along with, some dollar amounts associated with. Back in 2010, East Noble was one of the second really school in the area to put in an artificial turf field. The first was Southwest Allen. So when that was put in, I was not around at that time, and it was told to us the field was warranted for 10 years. If you took care of it, you could get 12 to 15 out of it. So we just completed our 15th season on that field. We've had it inspected every year. We've done maintenance to it after it's been on warranty, some minor rips and tears. But it is time to upgrade that field, something that since I have been here, we've been budgeting bits and pieces here and there to save for, so we don't have to go ask the taxpayers for additional funding in order to do that. Along with that, we'd like to make some other upgrades around the stadium area, including the track, as well as the lighting and the scoreboard or message center. So these were items, again, that would have been or have been advertised in our budget over the last 2 or 3 years. Certainly was in the budget that was presented for 2025. And so now it's kind of time to take action on what we've planned to do for some time. Back early summer, we started looking into getting quotes and bids from other vendors and compiling. We've also made some trips to area schools, primarily Carroll, Northwest Allen, Carroll High School, as well as Bishop Dwenger, to look and see what their field looked like, what they have, scoreboards, tracks, and so forth. So as we move into the next slide here, one of the quotes we have for turf replacement, this is a traditional field, very similar to what we have now. Again, this is a traditional field, very similar to what we have now. You can also purchase an additional 2-year warranty to get a 10-year warranty as well. And the cost estimate for this field here is just under $500,000. It will be through Field Turf. It's the company that installed our first field. It's also the company that installed our middle school field. We've been extremely happy with it. It's worked out very well. And we've been very proud to build that relationship with that organization. We have been working through a purchasing co-op such as Sourcewell. Sourcewell goes out and bids items such as this, tracks, other facilities, furnitures, all kinds of items. And then we'll put together a bid that is approved by the state. And so that's how we purchase our buses the very same way. And not through Sourcewell, through different purchasing co-op, but it's a very similar or same process. So just to give you an idea of what the cost of replacing the field would be, what they would do is they would come in, they basically would vacuum up all of the infill, they would pull the carpet up, lay down new carpet, and then use part of the field they vacuumed up plus some new to fill in the new field. So trying to reuse what we're able to keep some of the costs down. So again, we were one of the, basically the second in the area to have a turf field. Now you're seeing most school corporations have moved this direction over the last several years. And having some conversations with other schools and other individuals here at East Mobile and outside. We wanted to take a shot and maybe think outside the box a little bit. What can we do differently? So if we move on to the next slide here, you'll see an image. This is from Greenwood down by Indianapolis. It's a gray field, a little bit different look. Some have mentioned that it goes well with the knight, the armor, and so forth, and gives us a little bit different look than what other schools or other fields have around. Again, we're looking at both options. This would not change the cost. The color of the field does not change the cost. So these are just things that we're looking at. There's been no decision made on any of them, but we're hoping to start making some decisions here in early January. This is going to be a very tight summer. There's a lot of work that will need to be done. And the high school needs to start planning, we need to get on schedules, and so forth in order to accommodate or make all the necessary accommodations in order to get some of this work done. So again, I put this in there just as a visual, something that has been thrown out there, has been discussed and talked about. When I first heard about it, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. The more I looked at it, it seems interesting and something that not all other schools have at the moment. So just an idea. As we move on, the next item would be the track. We currently have a latex track that was refinished in 2017. At that same time, we also we milled out an inch and a half of the asphalt and relayed an inch and a half of asphalt. And so when looking at getting quotes for a new track, most schools are moving away from latex tracks and going to a polyurethane track. They're saying that that's actually more cost effective, longer warranties. When I went to Mishawaka for the football game there, they had a polyurethane track. Northwest Allen, Carroll High School has a polyurethane track, and they are definitely more durable. We've had conversations with those that coach track, as well as others at the high school, and so what we're looking at is a new polysurface track. It'll be black in nature. We also would fill in the entire D zones at the end to go for a look and also provide additional safety. Requiring a little more cushion padding. It's not quite as slick as students are running across, whether it be through the end zone from a football game or whether it be track or what have you. It also would allow additional travel availability for those pole vaulters or high jumpers or long jumpers that are going from the end of the run to the beginning of the run and so forth. So again, also looking at what are some different things that we could do. This track or this image here has the exchange zones and a different color. It'd be like a royal blue, and so we're looking at what that could look like or what we could do. In the next slide, you'll see some information regarding costs. I don't have any final numbers yet. We're working with a couple different companies through the same purchasing co-op. If there's different levels, different grades, kind of good, better, best, and they can range anywhere from $315,000 to $560,000. So we're looking at all the options. The warranties go up also with the cost as well. I can tell you that Carroll High School has a fully embedded the BSS 1000, which is like the $560,000 range. Again, things that we have been planning for, budgeting for, and so forth, but we're just still trying to put everything together to see what that looks like. Moving on from the track, we're looking at a new scoreboard. I can't remember when that last scoreboard was put in. If it was put in when the turf field was put in, I'm not sure. But it's definitely aged out. Parts of it no longer function correctly. And so working with a couple different vendors on a digital scoreboard, we went to Northwest Allen, who has a Daktronics scoreboard, which is one of the quotes that we're receiving. We also went to Bishop Wenger, who has a Watchfire scoreboard, which is what we have a quote on as well. The quote you're seeing here is actually from Watchfire, and 10 millimeter resolution at 13 by 24. It could go in the existing location of where the scoreboard currently is. There's talk about putting it inside the track to bring it closer to the spectators. There's no additional cost for the foundations or the structure, maybe a little bit additional cost when it comes to running power and data to it. We're still looking at some of those costs. We have to bore underneath the track and so forth, but just looking at some different options to see what's available. Our intent is to do what is right and what is sustainable and lasts. Warranties are important to us. We want to make East Noble a destination place, and part of that is our facilities. And so that's just one thing that we're looking at. In talking both to Carol, well, mainly Carol, they actually had a club that had formed, and Daktronics provided some educational materials, lesson plans and so forth, and there's a club that was formed, so they have students that are running their scoreboards, they're doing play-by-play, they're doing sideline interviews, they are doing all kinds of stuff, and they're looking to move into a class next season, or next school year, and there are also additional opportunities. Those students that are in this club actually are going and working for the Coliseum, the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, IPFW, and they're able to work on and operate their technology. So those students were pretty excited about some of the opportunities. And it's another trade that we can teach our kids along the way. So not only is it facility related, but there also can be an instructional piece to it as well, and an opportunity for kids. Not only with that, it can provide a revenue stream. This current image that you have here, the top piece is a fully customizable display panel. The middle section of the lower section there is a static scoreboard. That's so if we're running practice, we can just run a static scoreboard. We can run a game clock and not have to have the entire board run or what have you. Then down below, this shows 4 locations for some really key sponsors that may help in part of the fundraising process to provide exposure, opportunity for them, but also to support the school and possibly even help pay for this board or the scoreboard. And the next slide.
Before you,
Yes.
are those permanent, or those have an opportunity to change?
The 4 on the bottom would be permanent, but I mean, you can, depending on
It doesn't change
how long
the
you
color.
sell the ad for, or whatever that looks like, you can then, in 3 years or 5 years or whenever that commitment is up, you can get a new vinyl layover and put it down at the bottom.
Thank you.
But there are also opportunities to run commercials, at halftime, during timeouts. We can run logos of businesses. If a business here in town wanted to do a 15 or 30-second commercial, we could run those. And also incorporate with our huddle camera, and we can provide replay highlights of students, whether it be senior night, whether it be halftime for the bands. I mean, whatever your imagination can dream up, we can work through and provide some sort of exposure or opportunity to showcase our programs and our students. So this also would provide new play clocks on the field. I don't know if any of you went to the Huntington North regional game, but the south end play clock did kind of peter out on us. It didn't quit working. So we're looking to see why that was, what to do repaired with that. But it also provides clocks in the locker rooms. So those teams, those programs will know what the clock is on the scoreboard, so they know when to come out, they know how long they have, so if the halftime is over, or what have you. Something that you see in most all the newer facilities that are out there. So moving on to the next slide. This also shows, this is at Carroll High School. This shows the track meet. In the previous slide, here's the next one. It shows they're using a camera system there where they're actually showcasing the track meet on the digital screen. I can tell you that I've been a part of, for the last couple of years anyway, we host track sectionals. Usually both boys and girls every other year, and now they're both in one year, I think, but we don't have a way at all to really showcase or advertise, post the results of any of our field events or events at all. This would incorporate into our track timing system. We would be able to do some of that, and provide some of that a lot quicker updates, a visual update, as opposed to just a announcement that you have to be paying attention to listen to. So just another opportunity of what it can be used for. This one here in the image on the next slide will show you kind of results of what the high jump or what was there or what the call sheet is. Again, we talk about other uses. Advertising as a revenue stream to support programs and facilities into the future. It would be, we've talked about, whatever revenues that we bring in, taking a certain percentage of them and setting them in a bucket aside for future upgrades, but also taking a portion to support our programs as well. Again, those are all things that are being discussed. In talking with Carroll and Bishop Dwenger both, they're both going to easily bring in $75,000 to $100,000 a year in just in advertising. So the scoreboard will, eventually pay for itself in a short period of time. It's a way for us to promote local businesses and our partnerships. We have several of those throughout Noble County. We can stream events using Hubble. We can show student highlights. We can display event results. Track being an example. One thing that Bishop Dwenger talked about, the thing that their students were most excited about, was they had a movie night, like a senior movie night, and they brought the kids in and they showed like Shrek or something like that. They had the concession stand open and the kids had a fun time watching a movie out there. I threw in there other possibly outdoor graduations. I mean, there's a number of things that this could be utilized for. It's not just a football scoreboard. So again, lots of opportunities there. Moving on, then to the last would be lighting improvements. Moving away from the 400-watt metal halide bulbs to an LED lighting system. This is very similar to what we have at the middle school as far as LED lights. It'd be 50-foot candles. You can go with the 40-foot candle. This is one that also started out higher than what you see here. We've worked with them to kind of bring it down. We're also following contract pricing as well. This through Musco Lighting is where all of our lighting is from. The current high school as well as current middle school. They have a show light piece to it where the lights will flash, they'll chase, they'll create some excitement that is thrown in with the cost of the standard LED lighting. The 40-foot candles is about, say $20,000 less than that. There is a possibility of adding on to get your red, green, and blue, your colored LED lights in there as well. It's an additional $8,300. If the option were selected, you're looking at about $325,000 for the lights. So I just want to bring this out. Again, it's something that we have discussed. It has been on our budget plans for the last few years. We haven't saved any funds for this. So with what we have budgeted, with what I believe we would need to fundraise through Daktronics, there's also a program where they will help finance over 5 years. So you can use 5 years worth of fundraising revenue or ad revenue to pay for the scoreboards, or different opportunities that we can look at along the way. So I'd like to continue kind of honing this in and really start making some decisions and getting some purchase orders out in January. So what questions do you have, Board?
For the app that was mentioned, is there a charge for people to use that app? Do they have a service fee?
What app are you referring to?
It was on the previous slide, there was a streaming.
Stream events using Huddle?
Yeah,
Okay, Huddle's something that we currently have, and you can get on it for free unless it's a state-sponsored event, such as, playoffs. Then that gets taken over by the IHSAA, and they do charge for that. But what we use Huddle for is free, and we don't stream as much as we could do. Now, not could do because of a new scoreboard, but we're getting into doing it more just ourselves. We do have the camera on the press box outside. We also have a portable camera that gets set up inside. We're also looking at another one that we can start, maybe doing a couple events at a time. If you have a boys volleyball game and you have a softball game at the same time, we might be able to do something like that.
And I believe Huddle's what the basketball teams use to record practices.
All of our teams use that to record practices. It breaks it down a little bit for them, helps them from a coaching standpoint. That's already in here. This equipment just speaks and talks to it in order to use that technology onto the scoreboard. Audio will be brought into, and the lights, all of them will kind of work together to create an event.
But no, like if I miss my husband's games, I can get on Huddle and watch.
well, I just wondered if it was still continuing. I mean, I thought that's what we were doing. There's some sticker shock here. Is there a plan B if the scoreboard seems excessive?
There are other sizes that have been reviewed. We did not go with the biggest size that was suggested or available. This is the middle of the road. There are smaller sizes. There are possibilities that, we could hold off on one, say the lights, for example, and not do the lights this year and wait until we can do it at a later date. Really, the field and the track are ones that need to be done sooner than later. So.
Which is more imperative, the score, I mean, are we having issues with our scoreboard or having more issues with lighting? Lighting seems important to me.
The scoreboard is a revenue stream, and it's going to provide opportunities that we don't have at all.
I understand that, but I mean, our present scoreboards, how are they doing?
Well, it's only one scoreboard, and the message center at the top of it does not work. And it cannot be repaired, it's outdated.
And so as far as getting into the queue, as far as cutting a purchase order, the sooner we do that, the sooner our name is on the list and other people will be below us. Is that correct? As far as, yeah.
Yes.
And is it, help me understand, I think I'm right. We just got our last bus that we ordered almost 2 years ago. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. The bus we ordered in January of 2023 just arrived 6 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Right, yeah, they're none.
That would concern me if we get into the queue and then we're gonna have to wait a year and a half and prices go up. I mean, doing some grocery shopping at this time of year and Christmas shopping, it's like, it's been an eye-opening for me, how much the prices have gone up.
Getting on the list is definitely important. They're starting to schedule summer work now. And it takes about 4 weeks to do a field and about the same for a track, at least a latex track. I'm not putting out polyurethane, so I'm not exactly sure. A little bit quicker, but it's about the same timeline. There could be a little bit of overlap between the two, but for the most part, the field need to be done because you don't want them crossing the track to get onto the field. So lights can be done, really at different times. Scoreboard could be done at different times depending on where we put it. If we put it inside the track, we want it done before the track surface goes down. So.
Why would you put it inside the track?
So I've asked that too, and it brings the viewable area closer to the spectators. It creates, from what I'm being told, more of a collegiate feel. It's something different than some of the others are doing.
Collegiates don't have tracks around their football fields
Right.
anymore. So, I just see it as an obstacle to viewing track events.
I viewed it that way as well, where the current scoreboard is, depending on what it looks like 5 and 10 years down the road for any renovations that may happen at the high school, you may be moving a scoreboard. If you put it inside the track, you wouldn't, it would be staying there. It's just, those are things that have been discussed. It hasn't been really voted on or settled or anything. It was just different options. The foundation, a new foundation, a new structure is gonna go in regardless of whether it's currently where it's at or whether it's inside the track. So we're just looking at different opportunities to see what it would look like. This field here, actually went back. Carroll's is outside the track. Dwangers, I believe, is inside. This one that I have on the lighting, the last slide, they have it inside. Part of it is you can kind of go with a smaller board inside the track than a larger board outside because you are closer to spectators. Either one. It's kind of like a green versus a gray. I mean, we're just looking at different options to see what that would be.
And our coaches have a plan to not be there for 4 weeks.
They're working on that plan, yes. It's gonna be most of the summer, most of June and July. And we don't host track sectionals this year, so that helps a little bit. But we still need to practice. We do have facilities at the middle school that are being looked at to see if they can be scheduled. Now, it doesn't help pole vault because there's no pole vault pit at the middle school, but we're looking to see what could be done in order to accommodate.
Is the polyurethane those small little pieces? We had a band competition while they were getting a new football field. And the track that was done in some of the spots, so it was hard. And in the other spots, it was still little teeny tiny.
That's probably more of a latex or a rubber
Okay.
base, which is what our current track is.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, or it could be fill from the field.
No, the whole thing was that way.
The whole thing,
It was
so
all
that's-
new,
so
and they
that's
had to
a-
move some football games.
I'm guessing that's the latex. When they
Okay.
put down a latex, they start with a larger fiber and then lay it down, glue it, then go to a medium, then go to a small. There's about 5 different layers that go through that. But my guess is that's what it was.
And that is not what,
We currently have a latex track,
and we're
yes.
going towards.
And we're looking at a poly track. Yes.
A long way from cinder.
Oh, Lavender.
And Brian, the only thing financially you don't have nailed down is the track. You know, you said there's still a few different options there you have to know.
We don't have anything nailed down.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting options. What the numbers that I'm showing you are real numbers.
Right. Can you go back to the one where we did the different?
The track
The track.
was 315, 500.
So that's one that shows different options on 7,200 square feet,
Right.
which is, our track is a little bit more than that. I think it's
Okay.
7,350 or something like that. And it's about, if you're going to do, actually I have some of it with me. The first
We
quote,
got that one,
yeah, this one, you received some of this in your packet now,
Correct.
this one I just got today. If you go with the better option for 7,364 square yards, you're looking at, it's a 10-year warranty, it's $502,000, plus you have some site work of about $35,000, and then if you're going to add a colored exchange lane or exchange area, that adds additional money as well. For the better option, it's like $33,000 for that. So there are areas that, you know, can be cut or toned down. So. And I'm still working with a couple different vendors.
So we don't have concrete numbers per se to put on the purchase order right now.
No, I'm still working to try and bring some of them down. But all these numbers are actual bids that were received. So I could write purchase orders for these numbers. But I'm hoping that it might be the numbers.
So, but if you cut the purchase order for that, if the prices come down, we don't get it, right?
I'm sorry.
We're locked into that price on the purchase order.
Once we write a purchase order
Yeah.
for a vendor, and then I'm locked into that vendor for that.
Right.
If I get something from another vendor, then that's cheaper, then I'm stuck with a purchase order that I had written.
And question about the ads on the scoreboards. You said they're generating $75,000 to $100,000 per year. Both of those schools are doing that?
That's what Northwest Allen and Bishop Dwenger had estimated that they would easily bring that type of revenue in.
They estimated or they're seeing?
Yes, both.
And they've got about 350,000 in the scoreboard, I thought, that's what.
Some of theirs are a year or two older,
Right.
so I'm guessing they're a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
They went with different sizes, but some of the costs were very similar comparative to time when they put it in and so forth, so.
Word, thoughts?
When would you like to cut these? What are you thinking for us to?
I'd like to get purchase orders out, at the latest, the end of January, but I was hoping closer to the beginning to middle of January, would be the hope. We do have some conversations that we'll need to figure out, what type of fundraising we're gonna do to potentially fundraise for a scoreboard. I do have a conversation outside of this, but it's with Park View regarding our PSM, our Park View Sports Management contract. We've heard some of what they've done for other area schools and what they provided in funding and so forth. And our contract is up in a year, so we're having conversations on what that looks like moving forward. We also are getting information from the other schools on what their advertising packages look like, and we put it out there to area businesses and see, hey, are you able to, wanting to put together something that would support this program or process. So.
Thoughts?
Are you
folks?
looking for something from us tonight?
Doesn't have to be. It would be easier if if you saw or were okay with what you see there, to allow me to go ahead and maybe start issuing some purchase orders prior to the next board meeting if we needed to. Could definitely bring them back, just like we're doing with buses. We issued a letter of intent. I'll write the purchase order, January 1st or 2nd. And I'll have you guys approve it January 14th at the next board meeting. But that also gets us in line, in the queue, to do what we've been budgeting, planning, and preparing to do.
But letter of intent's a little bit different than a purchase order.
No, that's what we did for buses. That's not what I'm talking about
Okay.
here.
So what I'm seeing right now in my mind is that you have some firm prices for some stuff.
These are all,
So
these are all.
I guess, what are we looking to approve for you tonight? Right now,
Yeah.
you haven't locked in a price.
No, I haven't. You're correct.
So I don't like the open checkbook,
Right.
in my mind.
Thank you.
You don't have to approve anything tonight. This was to give you guys a visual that, I may ask to approve POs January 14th, dollar amount similar to this. I'm not asking for an open checkbook.
Okay.
So the thoughts are, what are your thoughts on this? What do you like, don't like?
Isn't there a way to get the scoreboard smaller to get the price down? I mean, it seems a bit much to have a lot of advertising in a big screen for a high school. I'm sorry, that's just where my mind goes.
Have you been to a lot of high schools?
I understand there's others, but you don't have to be like the others, not per se.
But you also gotta be able to see the screen, I'd say.
And I would also say, that being the one revenue stream, I think financially that probably makes the most sense. From that standpoint.
You're gonna have it for the next 15 or so years, probably.
Yeah, and I think the idea of having, maybe you can do it smaller, have a replay and things like that, it's just gonna make the fan experience. We've had so much success any kind of sport, football, and then let alone everything else it's gonna be used for. I just think that that would be a benefit. Plus the fact that it's probably gonna pay for itself in a short period of time. Trust me, those
In
numbers.
band competitions, you get a different view from.
Yeah.
But there's lots of highlights of our students in all those programs, you know, not just football, but, you know, bands, you know, the track, you know, the soccer, you know, what have you. The senior night is, you know, as they walk down the front of the track in front of the stands, you know, it can be thrown up onto the screen for everybody to see a little better. You're right, you don't have to be like everybody else, but it is what a lot of schools are moving to. Have you ever been to Northwood? I think you have, Fred. I mean, it's amazing what some of those people are doing, and I mean, it's amazing what people are doing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, Scott, is the fact that he's been setting aside money for the last 12 years. We're financially in a pretty good position to be able to.
I understand that, it just seems a bit much.
I disagree. From the standpoint of,
I'm definitely ready to start seeing some money go into our athletics. I'm not ready to vote tonight, but I'm not upset with those numbers at all. I will be ready to vote next meeting for sure, but our athletic facilities at the high school are in desperate need of some help all around, in my opinion. So I like the direction with this.
And I was also ad board that, while it's all great with the athletic piece of it, my mind goes to what does this mean for our students and that student learning experience. That's something they're not gonna get unless they have something like this. I think Brian shared that I think it's Northwestern's doing something like that where their students are actually learning that. And
They're actually gonna have a class next year.
correct.
It's a club right now.
Is that
No, that's a Carol.
Yeah.
Which is really amazing because, you know, technology is really what everybody does and everything goes that way. So for them to have that experience and decide if that is a career they want to go into, I mean, that's invaluable to our kids. So, just another thought.
so Brian, the one number, the question I have, I guess, so the one number you don't have, that you're still negotiating, is it the track or is it all of the segments?
I'm negotiating all of the contracts right now.
Okay, and I guess that's my concern.
these-
If you can get a
these-
better number, but we're locked in, why would we not wait until we know what your best number is for those contracts?
Right, yeah.
So I guess that's why I would say let's wait until we know what that best number is.
But I'm not asking to write POs for these numbers. I'm giving you numbers as a precaution of what we're looking at, so we understand or we see what dollars we're talking about.
Okay.
Hopefully next month.
And we'll have some
So,
other numbers.
but, they probably aren't gonna come down a whole lot.
Sure.
But that's in a visual. If I tell you we're looking at a scoreboard and I don't show you what it looks like and it's $325,000, you guys probably aren't gonna be interested.
And there were still things that could get it down, like, I think the track had those different colored lanes.
Mhm.
Said bringing them off would take that
Yep.
down. So
Yep.
there's things that could be done to bring this down.
The exchange zones, correct?
The exchange zones don't have to be colored.
It'd be nice if they were.
So I guess that's what I'm trying to get a feel tonight too, is like, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on a gray field versus a green field? What are your thoughts on scoreboard inside the track or outside?
I can tell you green.
I like the gray.
I am too traditional in all of this, I'm sorry.
Like it go blue and gold.
I just want to get the cost down.
Be like gold.
Well, the color didn't matter though, you said, the color didn't change.
The color,
Ugly. Okay, I'll go on the record, I want green. If you're asking, I want green.
Have we asked our football coach?
Now they come and
yes.
go.
What did he think?
He likes the gray.
Yeah. I thought it sounded kind of strange too, until I saw it.
I didn't know he was gonna say that.
And I'm not really a great person.
I'm too traditional.
And then we asked our track coach if he liked the ladies being, I mean, that, to me, that's who we need to be asking.
I can tell you
I'm sure you have,
our
but-
coaches are extremely excited about all of this.
It's, we should be excited about it. It sounds like committee work to me on the color you guys choose.
And to go back to the scoreboard, being a source of income also, Luke had already been kind of talking to a few businesses that were pretty excited about doing that too, right? So it's not like those are gonna just sit there saying, advertise here
Right.
for some time. We're gonna be ready to throw some businesses in there right away. So.
Yeah, take down some of the businesses that are no longer in the area off the current schools.
And I believe that was part of his vision, and he presented that to all of us as well.
Anything else? You have
I like
homework,
reading.
Mr. Leach. I said that many years ago to you too. So make sure you get it done this time, so. East Noble Academy update.
Thank
So they're still plugging along, running on schedule. The trusses they get delivered, they are being installed. They have most of those lower sections installed, starting to sheet. They've sheeted most of the outside, and then they're bringing in a crane to set the upper trusses. They're framing kind of the upper walls when I drove by today, and moving forward. So we're hoping to get it the structure finished and wrapped and dried in here in the next week or two.
Kind of out of the cold.
Yeah.
So are they ahead of schedule or about?
I'll never say they're ahead of schedule.
No jinxing yourself if they are, right?
Okay. Ambassador program.
Right, board, I did share a little bit about that in the board packet that you did get. But this was designed, I guess I should say, by our Alumni Association group. They gave us some suggestions of what they feel like community members would want to know, which I thought was really important to get their feedback, because what we thought was not what they thought. So we really did appreciate that feedback. And it really is an effort to engage our community and just to promote understanding of what East Noble is about, be transparent and hopefully be advocates for our district. So we have divided up into 4 different days. We will be doing one in January, February, March, and April. And we are going to start out with food service. So we're going to take them behind the scenes. This will not be just a sit and get. They will be getting some experiences along with that. That's why we have to do it during the school days and the school hours. So we will start that at 8 a.m. And it'll run either 2 to 4 hours depending on the topic that we are looking at. We're starting that on January 30th. And we do have several, like I said, 4 different topics. One of them they wanted was the variety of support services. They did feel like they know we have so many things like the unified sports and just a variety of counseling services and things like that. They just wanted to know about those, so we'll be sharing that. They did definitely want to know more about STEAM, so we'll be able to take them into the buildings and do some tours, and they'll get to see some things that we have going on there. They also asked for an impact tour, which I thought was really good, because it's right here in the community, our kids use it, they want to know more about it, so we're able to do that. And we'll get our little mini buses out and take them on a tour. So just kind of like what you had an opportunity to do. So if you did participate, I should say, in that tour, they will get a similar tour such as that. So very excited about that. We're encouraging other people to sign up. We just put another push out again today. So we're hoping to be able to get several people signed up, but we won't take any more than 20 people. That's just kind of pushing that to be able to get them through and give them that experience that we really want them to have. Do you have any questions about that or any suggestions or thoughts?
Have you asked the principals to recommend someone?
I have not.
That's how I was chosen for, when I went through, didn't know if they had parents.
We really just put it out on social media,
Yeah.
put it out in the
Okay.
newsletter, just trying to reach a broad base, but yeah, you're right, we could certainly
Just
do
thought.
that kind of thing.
I think it's a great idea, but it's a lot to learn.
It is,
A lot
there's
to
very
learn, people
lot to
don't know,
learn. You think you know because you went to school and
you
you
don't know.
think you know, but going behind the scenes of just like food service and what they deal with today and how they have to count the calories and the sodium levels and just all of that. There's so much that goes into it anymore. It's important that people have that understanding. So we're really excited about being able to provide that opportunity to people in our community. Okay,
Okay,
ready for the next one?
next one, please.
All right, Town Hall, there were at least 3 of you that were able to go to the Town Hall because we can't have any more of that. More than 3 of you, because then it would be a quorum. So we had 3 of you that were able to go. We had several administrators that were volunteers to be part of the Town Hall. We did have 4 different sessions where we asked for our strengths and areas of growth. And I'm going to just share with you the 4 questions that we had, so you're aware. How well does the school incorporate STEAM into the curriculum? And Dr. Klaassen was there and led that discussion. And then what can the school do to improve student attendance and engagement and changes in the attendance policy? That's kind of been a hot topic here lately, and Mr. Harper was able to lead that. And then we have what resources or workshops would help you support your child's education at home, because those are one of the things that we always get. And Mrs. Erickson was able to lead that. And open-ended feedback station, Dr. Carroll, almost said Mrs., led that discussion as well. They all did a wonderful job collecting just feedback. We did put that in a Word document that is now posted on our website under the FAQ. And so you can access that. I know you've already had an opportunity to look at it. Our administrative team has had an opportunity to look that over. And we're just gonna take it and discuss what appropriate next steps we can do with this feedback. So feel very fortunate we had, it wasn't a great, huge crowd, but it was enough that we got some feedback that was, very valuable to us. So we appreciate that. Any thoughts or questions about it? Okay.
Okay. Any late items?
I have none.
Okay, comments, you have any comments?
I do have comments. I always have comments. First of all, congratulations to our new hires, and I would like to introduce our new Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Michelle Grew. Michelle, would you please stand up so everybody knows who you are? For her, so people know, she comes to us from an education consulting world, serving as a Director of Professional Learning at the Northern and Northwest Indiana Educational Service Center for 3 years. She also had her own business as Connect the Dots LLC for 1 year, and then she had 8 years as a Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment at Westview School Corporation. And she truly is known throughout the state as a professional development leader. So we're just very excited to have her as part of our team. So welcome, Michelle. Thank you for joining our team. Appreciate that. Next up is, with that said, we are here to say goodbye to Dr. Corris, that she will be leaving us to be the superintendent at Whitco. Wish you well. Thank you for the last 2.5 years. We do appreciate your service to East Noble. And board, just a reminder that our next meeting is on a Tuesday, on the 14th. We did that because we have to have elected officers before the 15th. So just a reminder to any newly elected board member that they do have to have the oath in before that first board meeting. And what I would say, typically you can come into our office and we have a notary public that does that. However, they're both transitioning to get their new certifications, so we hope that they have that, but you might want to call before you stop in. And I think I sent you that email today. So you just want to make sure that they have that stamp and ready to go. They're still in that process, so. And our last very, very sad one is we have 2 board members leaving us. First one is Brad Anderson, and I'm gonna bring you a nice little plaque of thank you. Appreciate the time that you've been with us, and just as an appreciation for the educational opportunities made available to children and youth of the community through the membership of the Board of School Trustees. So you served from 2021 to 2024, and I just want to say thank you, appreciate it. You're not a man of many words, but when you do talk, we listen, so thank you for that. You also have a pass for you and a guest, a lifetime pass for any of our athletics or extracurricular events. So thank you, appreciate your service. Well done. And our second one is Mr. Pine. And you served from 20 to 24. So thankful that I've had the opportunity to really get to know you. And your education background experience has just been phenomenal on the board. I know he has taught us all a lot. Not only as a person that comes from that, but he's also been a great friend to many of us. So appreciate it so much for your valuable insight, and you will be greatly missed. So thank you for your service and what you have done. So thank you so much. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Any comments or questions from the board? All right.
I started working with junior achievement, and I've been able to go into our high school for the last 2 Tuesdays, and it has been awesome. If you guys have the opportunity to do that, she said that this spring she is going to reach out to you guys, the rest of you guys again, and I know you probably are busy during the week. But in the spring, she'll have a lot of classes, probably Amanda's class, that she'll need help with in our school. But it has been very neat to go in this last 2 weeks, and I was paired with a teacher I didn't know, so getting to know her the last couple of weeks, and I actually got to pick up 2 classes because a volunteer dropped out, so it's been really cool to see. So and I'm just gonna stop there.
Thank you for volunteering, because it's really a good program.
It's a great program. Those kids are awesome.
Anything else? All right, just a reminder, Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. And we'll be adjourning into executive session for discussion of personnel. And with that, we certainly wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year. Enjoy your family and hug your kids. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.